Hello everyone, welcome to Louvre Games channel. In this video I will explain you in detail how to play Farming Simulator 19 with the most epic mod, Seasons. I tried to make the guide as detailed as possible. And so, if you start a new game with the Seasons, you will see a window notifying you that it's spring, time to cultivate and sow something. If you turn off the seasons in the Save It game, you will be told to reset the growth of all crops on the map. This means that all crops on the map will be destroyed. To avoid mistakes, you have to agree to this. Now there will be a drop in FPS, in my case from 60 to 20 frames per second. This is normal, seasons take over the map. The duration of this process depends on the performance of the PC, the size of the map, and the number of objects on this map. The Seasons menu opens with Alt-S. We'll start from the left, sitting. Take a look, what the temperature is measured in, Celsius or Fahrenheit. I think I don't need to explain. Seasons introduction. If this is enabled, then when spring, summer, autumn, winter comes, a window about this will be shown. Season length. We select the length of the season. Minimum 3 days, maximum 24 days. If you select 3 days, a month will pass in 1 day. A year will pass in 12 days. If you choose 24 days, a month will run for 8 days. A year will run for 96 days. Crop moisture. In vanilla game we can't harvest when it rains. If we turn this option on, we can harvest just when the moisture is high, and it may not be rain related. Yes, another thing about moisture. Let's say now it's the last chance to harvest. Tomorrow there will be a frost, but the weather is wet. If you play with season's length of 3 days, there is good chance you won't wait for dry weather. So you can go on the setting and increase the length of the seasons. It may not be fair, but it's a personal choice. Enable these two options if you want to see a full winter. Crop damage and wheat intensity scales. Well, I think I need to explain. Let's move on to the field. 2 lines appeared in the growth filter. Planted, germination failed. Weeds do not appear on the whole field with the seasons. They randomly appear on a little piece like this. Crops are damaged by the weather, and it happens randomly. Example: a field of wheat. On the left are 10% weeds and damaged, on the right 100%. Let's see if there is a big difference. You can already see that there is a difference in weeds. But let's wait for the end of maturity. A word or two about weeds. It can also be removed with a weeder, but it has to be done all the time, once it grows up. Herbicides can be used immediately after sowing. Then the weeds will not appear again. But the using herbicides at the low weeds intensity scale is not profitable, because in fact the most herbicides are wasted. As you can see, the choice of the intensity of weeds affects their appearance. But the choice of the intensity of damage to crops does not affect so much, because it depends on the weather and on the resistance of crops to weather. In my opinion, very lacking is the lighting setting at night. Wherever the map setting, it's very dark at night in the seasons. Also, the length of the night depends on the time of the year. In summer most of the day is light, but at winter the sun doesn't want to appear for long. I didn't like this night in the game, and I corrected it a little bit for myself. Crop rotation planner. Interesting thing. What is it for? For example, in vanilla game you only grow soybeans, but if you grow only soybeans in the same field with the seasons, you will get 14% less volume each time. And if you rotate soybeans and wheat on the field, you will get 5% less soybeans and 14% more wheat. If you add sunflowers, you'll get 5% less beans, but 20% more wheat and sunflowers. There is also a fallow option. That means that you have not grown anything in the fields for 1 year. But it doesn't give so much volume that it makes sense to not grow anything on the field. That is, with the seasons you need to rotate crops so you don't lose volume. And in this window you can plan what to grow after what. Economy. In this window you can see optimal time to sell crops. But note that it's not exact forecast. but it's like a data for the previous year. Animals. That's another story, so not now. Crop info. Each crop has 3 states: seed, young and mature. In this window we can see the cold and drought resistance of crops in each state. When I play with the seasons, I seldom look here. Here is the weather forecast for the next 7 days. If the season is 3 days long, that is the forecast for 7 months. Of course, the forecast is approximate. And finally, the calendar. Here we can see when it is possible to sow or plant something, and when it can be harvested. The green one is when you can sow, the yellow one when you can harvest. Note there is no information for cotton and sugarcane, but these are also recommendations. It shows the temperature you need to grow your crops. If the number is blue, it's too cold. It means the temperature of the soil or ground. Closing the seasons menu. What's new in the interface? It shows the seasons. This is what day in the season. This is the air temperature. This is the ground temperature. This is the icon of height moisture. When it's shown, it means you can't harvest. To show how to grow something, I made some small fields. You saw that each crop has a different resistance to drought and to cold. The idea of the seasons is to plant or sow something at exactly the right time. That is, to look at the temperature, weather forecast and so on, just like in real life. But I will show you how it's works in the game. In one side we will plant crops at the wrong time, on the other side at the right time. Also we will set the level of damage and weeds to the maximum. Let's look at the calendar. We see that now is time to sow wheat, barley and oats, also canola. For soybeans and corn is too early. It should be planted in late spring, early summer. We can't plant cotton at all. We also can't plant sugarcane. But the temperature is still very low for plant anything. It's about soil temperature. Crops begin to grow at the right soil temperature. But anyway, we are getting started. Wheat, sunflowers, soybeans, corn. We also planting cotton, sugarcane and poplar. Yes, we can plant poplar most of the year. Now let's wait for the right time to plant it all. It's mid-spring, temperatures are up, we can plant wheat and sunflowers. We wait further and now is good time to plant soybeans and corn. Let's plant now. Open the map, we see that wheat and sunflowers are already growing. The other crops still have the status of planted. Well, except for the poplar. There is no point to plant cotton and sugarcane, as there is no favorable time to plant this. Now we have to wait further for the crops to mature. Early summer, soybeans and corn begin to grow. Late summer. The crops look like mature in vanilla game, but with the seasons, this is what they look like in the last green stage. Early autumn, and we can harvest wheat and sunflowers. Late autumn, we can finally harvest corn and soybeans. It's also possible to harvest poplar, a little strange because last time when I checked poplar, it took 1 year to grow. And so, what did I want to show? It doesn't really matter when or under what condition you plant the crops. In any case, it begins to grow at the right soil temperature, and are ready for harvest at the time is indented. We plant wheat and sunflowers in early springs, and also in mid-springs. This ripened at the same time in early autumn. We planted soybeans and corn in early springs and late springs, but it's still available for harvest at the same time, in late autumn. If you look at the map, all fields matured without damage. There is no withering, no germination failed. Of course the fields are small. There will be more withered and ungerminated crops on large field. It's still random, but the important thing is that the whole crops on the field will be not lost in any case. It will be lost in small pieces, but not the whole field. Let's open the calendar. We see that it's still possible to sow wheat. Let's do it. Midwinter, all the crops withered. Maybe it froze. Except cotton. Still has the status of planted. Sugarcane has the status of germinated. Well, the popple does not care what time of the year is. Wheat has damaged areas. It's the end of the winter, no snow yet. Snow it's also random. Sometimes snow falls as already in the end of the autumn. Sometimes it still falls in early springs. Of course, it's also affecting the fact that I ruined the time a little. I do not recommend it doing this. But the ground is frozen, and you can work on it. The icon shows this. Let's increase the length of the seasons to see snow. Unfortunately, there is not a lot of snow here, but still the snow affects the transport. If you drive normally the snow, you cannot touch it. If not, you can clear the streets. I don't want to talk long about it. There are already enough mods to work with the snow. You can also find snow melting station. You can also perform contracts for snow shoveling. Despite the fact that you can't till the ground in winter, it's still possible to collect wood chips. That is, you can do wood logging in winter, felling trees, and planting new trees is possible. Even poplar trees can be planted. I haven't done enough wood logging with the seasons, so I can't say much. Trees fully grown in 5 years. Yes, I forgot to tell you again. At the store in the tools we can buy this tool. If you point it at an object and hold down the left mouse button, we get information about that object. For example, is the tree fully grown? What is in the cistern? What is in the track? And it also shows information about the field. And so a year has passed, it's spring again. Cotton is still planted. Sugarcane is still germinated. Wheat that was sown in late autumn is growing. Wheat will still be available for harvest in late summer or early autumn, as if it were sown in early spring. What about sugarcane and cotton? The seasons simulate a specific climate. I don't know which one exactly, but it's not southern. Cotton and sugarcane are not grown in the north. With the standard climate of the seasons, you can grow it. And it doesn't matter when to plant it or how many years will pass, it will be still remain the same condition. What do you do if you want to grow these crops? It's really quite simple. Go to ModHub or any website with mods and type Geo into the search line. Now look for the Geo with a climate suitable for the crops you want to grow. And turn on Geo when loading a saved game. That's it. No need to start a new game. You don't even have to plant the cotton again. The cotton has matured in its time and can be harvested. Sugarcane still hasn't grown. If you don't have enough hardcore, you can find a harder climate. For example, Geo with eternal winter. If the opposite, you can find here such a Geo, where crops at the old stage have maximum resistance to both cold and drought. You can plant and sow anything you want, even all year round. Look for the Geo files and play in whatever climate you want. Well, that's all about growing crops in general. In the following videos I will tell you what and how it affects the volume of crops, how to make and store silage high straw, and how the seasons change the gameplay of livestock production. Thanks for watching, and goodbye everyone.